Let me start by commending the effort of the organizers of this August conference. It is an honor for me to be here. I'm here to present a paper, co-authored paper, between myself and my colleague, which is titled Indigenous Ulama in the Historiography of Borno from 1850 to 1995, some neglected sources for historical reconstruction. The thesis here is mainly on the neglect of important manuscripts which serve as important source for the reconstruction of the history of Borno. Four scholars, or the works of four scholars, have been selected for this paper. Two of them are anonymous, as found in the Centers for Documentation of Historical Materials, such as the Arewa House here, National Archive, Kaduna, Center for Arabic Documentation, Ibadan, and the Center for Trans-Saharan Studies in the University of Maiduguri. So all these centers refers to these two materials that I'm going to present as anonymous historical materials. The other two, one is written by Sheikh Ali Al-Qayyani as around 1901, and the other one, which comprises a conglomeration of four papers written by the polymath Sheikh Ibrahim Saleh Al-Hussein. This paper tries to, or has examined, what these scholars wrote in their manuscript, which is relevant for the reconstruction of the history of Borno. Why they wrote what they wrote, and the perspectives or perception of these scholars on what history is all about, and how they perceive causation in terms of historical writings. Borno, the history of Borno is no doubt sine qua non with the history of Islam and Islamic development in Africa. Borno is one of the earliest polities in Africa, and particularly in the central Bilad of Sudan, to have come into contact with Islamic culture and civilization. Immediately after the expedition of Ukuba bin Nafi, many sources pointed out that Islam penetrated into Borno immediately after that expedition. And through Borno, the religion of Islam, Islamic culture and learning spread to other parts of the present-day Nigeria. It has been endowed with renowned scholars such as Yakubu Arumi, Usman bin Usman Masabarma, Sheikh Ahmad ibn Furtua, Sheikh Ibrahim Ferama, among others. These scholars were supported by the Sefawa government. And even during the El-Kanemi period, this support was not withdrawn by the government because of the granting of the license of privilege, popularly known as Maharam. This grant of privilege enabled scholars from different areas to come to Borno and enjoy such privilege, which exempt them from tax paying, wage labor, military service, among others. Now, the ulama are important people in the community who guide the people generally and advise the rulers. Their role is not only limited to teaching and learning, but they play a very critical role in the society in terms of administration. They serve as scribes, advisors, helping to ensure smooth running of the administration. Now, coming to historical aspect, the ulama serve as the custodians of historical aspect of the society, in that they document all the happenings in the society. The areas where they work or wrote include treatises, biographies, among others. Now, the writings of the ulama have been documented since from the 15th century. Now, a lot of these materials can be found in the national and institutional centers for documentation of historical materials, which include Arewa House, National Archive Kaduna, Center for Arabic Documentation in Ibadan, and the Center for Trans-Saharan Studies, among others. They wrote on areas of history like nature, administration, trade, king list, and the likes of them, which many historians made use of in conducting their research. For instance, I know R.A. Adele, a renowned historian, has consulted many of these writings. People like Professor Kyari Muhammad, people like Nur Al-Kali, people like Kyari Tijani, people like Abdullahi Smith, people like Bala Usman of blessed memory. They made extensive use of these materials. But the problem we are having today, in spite these writings or manuscripts serve as important first-hand material or sources for the reconstruction of history, student doesn't make use of them, more especially university-trained students. Instead, they relied on secondary sources, forgetting that there are a lot of exclusive information that are contained in those Arabic manuscripts written by the Indigenous Ulama, which I believe you cannot find in those, sorry for using the word, stereotyped or westernized secondary sources. I've made mention that I'm going to focus on 4 scholars, the work of 4 scholars, which the 2 I said they are anonymous. The first anonymous work is written in the 1850s. There is no specific date which that work was composed. It was titled, or it is titled, Kitab al-Nazam al-Jarad. Kitab al-Nazam al-Jarad is all about nature. It explains what happened in Borno when the locusts invaded the area. Not only Borno, but the Chad Basin region in general. Throughout my research, because my PhD, I wrote on the historiography of Borno, and in all my research, I've not come across any material, I've not come across any source that talked about the phenomenon at that time. Only one, written by Humphrey J. Fisher. Aside Humphrey, there is no any source on Borno which detailed or document the natural phenomena at that time. Another document which this research focused on is titled Kitab al-Tariq Nguru, which is a chronology of the Galadimas of Nguru. It provided or provides the total number of those who have been the Galadima of Nguru, their relationship with the ruler of Borno, that is the Mai, and the conflict between the Galadima and some neighboring areas, and his exile to Sokoto. Now, what this paper tried to explain is that there is need to critically study this material and to understand why the Galadima was in conflict with the Shehu of Borno at that time, and why did the Galadima fled to Nguru, and why, or what was the source of conflict between the Galadima and the ruler of the Magaram. And in all my research, there is not a critical assessment or analysis as to that regard. Another important historical material is Wabu'i Arabi. Wabu'i Arabi detailed the activities of Rabi in Borno and the neighboring areas. In actual sense, there is no material, historical material, that detail the activities of the invader, Rabi Fadalallah, in Borno and surrounding areas. In spite of this, people or present students, researchers and scholars, they did not utilize the content of this valuable first-hand material. When Rabi invaded Borno, Sheikh Ali Arqayami was a young man. He was an eyewitness, and his writing is first-hand information. Few scholars in the 1960s and the 1980s made use of this historical source. For instance, Kyari Muhammad, the Rabi Interlude, R.A. Adele made extensive use of this material, that is Wabu'i Arabi. But there is an observation which we try to point out when Adele emphasized that Rabi was a nationalist. Adele looked at that from the nationalist perspective, not forgetting that even Rabi himself was an intruder who destroyed the existing political system on ground at that time. The next scholar is Sheikh Sharif Ibrahim Saleh Al-Hussein, who is a polymath, has written extensively, but the works of this scholar, which we take into cognizance because of their relevance to historical studies, are Al-Islam في كان بورنو ودور العلماء تاريخ إسلام وحياة العرب في إمبراطورية كان بورنو الاستذكار لمال العلماء كان بورنو مجاز تاريخ بورنو وكان. In his writings, Sheikh Ibrahim Saleh revealed important aspects of the history of Borno, which has to do with trade, diplomacy, the establishment of settlements, among others. Sheikh Ibrahim Saleh revealed that the first mosque that was built in Kanem was in a place called Balak in the eastern part of Kanem. Kanem is presently in the Republic of Chad. There is no document written by Western scholars that you will find this. In all my research, I don't know, maybe those books beyond my reach, but in all my research, during my master's and PhD thesis, I have not come across such useful information.
Last 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Now, on the political aspect, one important revelation in this manuscript was the way and manner, or let me put it in this way, the installation rites in Borno is very unique that not everybody knows about it. In fact, I came across it just of recent, that in the event of crowning the new Shehu of Borno, he will be bathed like as if he's dead. He will be clothed as if you are taking somebody into his grave. This is just to incite the fear of Allah and make the ruler to be just. If not in this type of Arabic manuscript, honestly, there is no way you will come across this important aspect of the history of African people. But in spite of their importance and revealing, most scholars, the Western trained scholars, they don't make use of these important sources. So this paper concludes that for one to study African history, and especially in northern Nigeria, where we have abundance Arabic manuscripts in thousands. So it has become important to utilize the Arabic manuscript, because the work of the colonialists, they try to make history to suit their purpose of colonizing us. And we should reflect back to the actual history, because we've been blessed with important scholars who have documented our histories far behind or far before 500 years ago. Thank you very much for listening.